In the 5 years I had left, I only saw my child and my wife once.
Wow.
Once in Mozambique. Once. Steve Tshwete is on TV. I'm sitting in my White River home. There's a plot to kill Mbeki, to overthrow him. What do you mean? We lost 1 million of the youth when Malema left.
True.
Gone. And the ANC Youth League has never recovered. I said, Bab, I think you need to consider resigning. And I want to tell you, I love you. And I hugged him.
Spread the fire. Welcome back to SMWX, and today I'm extremely excited to be joined by a person who has shaped South Africa's history for many decades, Mr. Mathews Phosa, a politician, a great lawyer, a business person, and he's our guest today. He's just published this book, Witness to Power, a political memoir, which chronicles his life, but also the way that he has been in the room in so many of South Africa's most important moments, from the recall of President Zuma, to the recall of President Thabo Mbeki, to the drafting of South Africa's constitution. He also takes us through his life in MK, ANC underground structures, and some of his earliest influences. This book has caused shockwaves across the political scene in South Africa. And so, Mr. Phosa, Ndade, thank you for joining us. And we were talking about it to some extent off camera, but before we get into the book, why did you write this book?
First of all, thank you for the opportunity for this interview.
Thank you.
It gives me such great pleasure to be here.
It's so great to have you.
It evokes many emotions in me.
Yeah.
As one of the activists in our organization. And the first, I want to congratulate you on the many distinctions you're getting as a young law student.
Thank you.
And wish you well in the career.
I appreciate it.
It's an exciting career. You brave men, please join us.
Yes.
When I say us, I'm saying your dad and me as lawyers. Join us. You're welcome.
Absolutely. It was so fascinating to read about your journey in the law in this book as well.
Yeah, thank you. And then the book deals with 30 years of our democracy. It's aimed at ensuring that those who were not born in 94 know what happened. Those who were born in 94 still will not know what happened unless we record what happened in the 30 years. It records that. Those who are born after the 30 years will not know. So they need, when they take a look back, to know how it has been recorded. It deals with a period where you had 5 presidents who ran the country, where power was used properly, abused or misused, and not used. And it deals with it is the good, the bad, and the ugly in a very fair way, but without malice. With more a spirit of saying, it happened, let's move on, let's reconcile, that type of thing.
Absolutely. And so much history has happened in our country in those 30 years and the decades before. And I think your generation knows it, but you don't know how much you're sitting on. And very few of you have actually written your stories, those of you who shaped this country, shaped the democracy. And it's great to see one person who was so important in that generation actually taking the time to share the story.
It's very important because there are many lessons from each era. For example, if we took Mandela's era, there are very many deep lessons. I always tell people that Mandela and Sisulu, to me, in each generation, was a university of life.
Yeah.
Which my parents did not take me to, but the struggle took me to that history. It's the university of life. They taught us many values which we carry through and need to be shared. We came from a conflict where you could easily have come out and allow your anger to dominate you, allow your shallow emotional intelligence to dominate you, instead of rising above those issues. And Mandela always said to us in our anger, well, guys, you got to rise above that anger. And see the national interest. Your anger does not serve the national interest. He always said, when we were very angry, we wanted to retaliate. There's a lot of violence in this country. People have been killed. I remember his Sisulu said to me, young man, don't use your heart. Use your head. The enemy wants you to respond in a violent way like they're doing to you. Impose peace on violence. Where have you ever had such things?
Sure.
I mean, it's not easy decisions to take for young men and women of my age that time.
Yeah.
Our instinct was, I'll hit back. But they said, that's the wrong way of doing it. You're listening to your heart, not your head.
Yeah.
And say, if you want to lead the nation, you don't do navel gazing. You look forward and create a future for your nation.
And those leaders had every incentive for retaliation and revenge, and yet they themselves were able to transcend their own anger.
They spent almost 30 years in prison, away from their wives and children. There can't be anything as painful as that.
Yeah.
In the case of Mandela, his son even died when he was in prison, Makhato. It's not a light matter. He was not even allowed to go to the funeral. And there's many cases like that amongst them and later. But these guys came out with no bitterness. They came out with a determination to create a new future for us, which we're inheriting. The question is, what do we do with this future, which they gave to us? And I'm sure we'll deal with that later. But this was the spirit which they created. I didn't feel in the corridors of the ANC then anything like, we shall hit back, we'll fix them. No. If you did that, we thought your instinct was very low. We needed a much more cerebral engagement from you,
I mean, this book chronicles the many ways that you've been in the room, influential in the room, not just in the room, but making decisions in the room of the last 30 years of our country. We know you as a prominent figure in business, law, and politics, but in this book you also take us into your early life and your early influences. Talk us through some of those influences and the earliest memories that shaped you as a person, apart from the politician, as you go into your experiences in Bombela, in what is now Mpumalanga.
Well, I was born from a man who was a teacher, principal many times with his death, and a lady who was one of the nurse volunteers in the Second World War. My mother. She couldn't go because the war stopped after they had trained. Yeah. So you understand the inspirations around education, around the instinct to want to fight for what is right. So those are the upbringings in Bombela. Grew up there. Then of course they decided that I need to be anchored in my traditions. They sent me to my grandfather far in Limpopo, in rural areas where there's no electricity. And said, you should stay there, look after cattle and donkeys. That's where I learned to ride donkeys.
Yeah.
To love them. They'll throw me off. When they're wild, they throw you off. But I was toughened there. Yeah. Until my standard 6, as we called it in those days. And my grandfather's second religion was education. He just believed in education. And he educated all his children and other cousins of my parents. He educated them. So if that environment of having education as a legacy they want to leave you is still with me today.
Yeah.
It formed part of my upbringing. Understand my rural upbringing very well, and that respect is important. And they grew up in an environment of strong religion in terms of Christianity. When you ate, you didn't eat without praying. You didn't sleep without praying. And when you woke up and open your eyes, you thank God for your eyes to open. That's how much they steeped us in religion. But we understood that life is tough out there. You have to work hard. We tilled the land. We hunted the rabbits and impalas in the bush with dogs. We didn't have guns. We made sure we catch them and kill them and eat them. We fished in around muddy rivers, and then we ate the fish. I remember my grandmother would get a big baba. She would salivate and grill it in welcome Dover stove, those stoves. No electricity. And we grew up that way. Very simple lives which shaped our upbringing, and avoided these arrogant characters we see today, and just have humbleness as the basis of your morality.
Absolutely.
In a simplicity in life, but viciously committed to education. I mean, I was studying, then I outgrew that environment. I went to university. And one joke between me and my grandfather was, when are you going to stop studying? You go to a first degree. When are you going to finish? I think, I'll die before I see your gown. He saw my gown when my pee broke.
Yeah.
Then he said, why are you still studying? I said, I want to do LLB.
LLB.
It is, when am I seeing the gown? Will I die? I said, you won't die. I got my LLB.
Yeah.
And then, what's going to happen next? I'm an attorney.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very nice. Now I can see you're like your uncle Collins Ramusi was my uncle. You know, his mother was the younger sister to my grandmother. Very close blood. So you'll be like him. Okay, now I'm satisfied. But tell me, all those books you have, they must be full of lies. Lawyers tell lies. I said, no, they don't. Look at this mercantile law. It's about business.
Yeah.
So I educated my grandfather that lawyers are not liars.
Wow. Some definitely. Yeah, I was just on that. How did you do your articles in 1 year?
What happened? Those days, you did articles for 2 years. And people were failing. I didn't understand why they were failing.
Yeah.
So when I finished, I was in a law firm of Godfrey Raben.
Yeah. Who took you in, and you mentioned
he
gave you a letter.
And, he was an amazing man. He says to me, look at those toilets. There's no black and white toilet here. These are toilets for human beings. These cups are not for black and white. These are cups for everybody.
Wow.
You know, as I walk in, but it was the height of apartheid. It was defiant.
We're talking the 70s around there, right?
And then, of course, he says, no, we do commercial law here. We don't do criminal or divorce or anything. Just commercial. And that's how a commercial lawyer. I'm indebted to him. And it was grilling.
Yeah.
In 11 months, I wrote my board exam. I passed everything.
That's incredible.
Everything, accounting, everything.
Yeah.
And then I had to wait for 13 months for my article period to expire.
Sure. Yeah. So you did it in the first year, and the rest you were just getting experience.
Well, I was getting experience. I think it was available because I was not under pressure.
Yeah.
I was learning more to be matured as a lawyer. It prepared me. And then later I said to him, I want to open my law firm. He said, I support you.
Yeah.
You have to move on.
For those lawyers who watch, because we have a lot of people interested in law, how has the law shaped your life? Because many people know you as a politician, but of course, you're a lawyer and a serious lawyer at that. How has the law shaped your life and influenced it once you learned the law?
Well, I was asked at the matric level to write a composition about what I want to do. I said I want to do law. I still have that composition somewhere. They said, why? I said, because I want to help people access justice. In matric already, that was my vision.
Wow.
I want to assert rights for the poor and disadvantaged. I don't feel they're regarded as having rights. So I want to assert those rights.
Yeah.
I want to defend them. I want justice for my people. This is a very important question because after I qualified, I got involved in the underground struggle even before. Then I was sitting there making money. Money became meaningless to me. I said to myself, there is no point in sitting and making money. People are suffering. We need to engage this apartheid government, if necessary, with arms in hand. That's how I got involved in the underground struggle, political and military. And I don't apologize. The apartheid regime needed to be taken on, arms in hand. And that's what made me understand that being a lawyer, fighting for justice, we're winning cases in court, inquests, political inquest. It was not enough. The rights had to be asserted through a constitutional framework. And they were refusing. They were keeping us outside the constitution. We did not exist as majority black. And in order to ensure that they realize we're the majority and we're human beings, if we talk to them, they send us to prison like Send Mandela and Sisulu and others. They lock us away. Oliver Tambo was in exile. So the only language they would understand is the bullet. And that's how I left all the luxury of BMWs and everything. And I got my hand on the AK-47 and Stashkin and pistols and everything.
Wow.
And ran units inside the country. When I look back, I think it's just too daring. But we did it. It was too daring.
Yeah.
No, but we did it.
You know, when I think now of being at an age where you're thinking about your well-being, you're thinking about your family, you're thinking about building wealth for your life, and we maybe underestimate what a big decision it is to walk away from all of that and dedicate yourself to armed struggle. What was that like for you?
I don't want to lie to you. The day I left, I was forced to go to exile because they wanted to assassinate me. And the truth kept coming up. that they had head office in Pretoria. By that time, there were shootings in Bushbuck Ridge all over, the exchange of fire. It was bad on the ground. And they were tracing who has been sending money to these guys, who has been sending guns to these guys. They were not finding out until late. The name lawyer appeared. They wanted to say, who's this lawyer? So the chase for the lawyer was on with security police until they cracked one guy. I won't mention his name. I respect him a lot. And they really assaulted him. They brutalized him. Yeah, to me, he's a hero. You know, they brutalized him and it said my name and then they on me. And I was alerted that, you must remember when we were underground, we recruited security police to work for us. We did. One of them is still alive.
Wow.
Mr. Malaza. We recruited him. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Is
Because
there
you
in the
think
book?
of the other way around, but
Yeah,
you don't remember that.
we had recruited him. The ANC endorsed the recruitment. Many others were recruited.
Yeah.
And he says, bro, you must run away.
Wow.
I said, why? He said, these guys, I think they're beginning to smell you. I said, I'm not running away. So I went to court where I was defending Halem Maserumule and Mantad in Middleburg. And I had NS Dikhang Mutseneke. DPGS was my advocate.
Wow.
Yeah, I said to NS, hey, it's getting hot for me. It was in the Rand Daily Mail, front page, terrorists killed, shot in Bushbuck Ridge.
Sure.
And NS did not know. I said, NS, look, these are my unit. So what do you mean, Fanagit? These are my unit. I said, yo. I said, actually, I'm just saying goodbye to you.
Wow.
So what do you mean goodbye? I said, Dikhang, I'm leaving. Where are you leaving? Fanagit. I'm leaving the country. It's bigger than you think. And there was this Brigadier Bosman in court. That day he was looking to me like this. And I knew this guy is saying to himself, I'm going to catch this terrorist. I took lunchtime break. I disappeared.
Wow.
They never saw me. They thought I was coming after lunch. I was gone.
Wow.
I didn't take the Nelspruit Road straight. I went the Millfield MLO Road. You know, anyone who came out of the road, out of the maze, I just suspected that they're following me.
Yeah.
It was just a second sense of defense. I drove back to Nelspruit, called Malaza, said, bro, come. What's going on? He said, no. They said, warrant for arrest, but it has been overruled. The decision is that you must be assassinated by the Flag Plus guys. And the guys who are going to kill you are the following. I said, where? They said, I don't know. They may be anywhere here anytime. I left. I left a wife and a child, 4-year-old girl.
Sure.
Now, you're asking the question, how must it have felt?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Sorry, I used a long-winded way to explain it. It felt bad. In the 5 years I had left, I only saw my child and my wife once.
Wow.
Once in Mozambique. Once. One day. But I focused on the struggle. I went to Lusaka to meet Comrade Thabo Mbeki and other comrades, Oliver Tambo. And Oliver Tambo and Thabo sat me down in Thabo's house. And they said, what do you want to do? Now, there was this thing of a new Zimbabwe. It was in vogue. And our intellectuals were flooding into Zimbabwe. It was a soft life. They could set themselves up as lawyers, as doctors.
Yeah.
They said, are you wanting to go and set up practice in Zimbabwe? I said, Comrade President, no. He said, what do you have in mind? I said, I left military and political units in the country. If I come here and to make money in exile, I'm betraying them. I'm not going to do that. I don't want to make money. I was making it at home. And I departed from that money. I want to train as a soldier. And he said, Thabo, let him follow his heart. And they sent me to East Germany to train. Military training in that cold weather. Lying on the sand in combat. Forgot that lawyer's thing. And training.
Yeah.
Exploding bombs, all sorts of bombs. Doing military intelligence, studying politics, Marxism, Leninism, and all those things. We had fun empowering ourselves differently.
Wow.
Ready. When we were shooting the target, we were saying, no, shooting water. Shoot his head. Come on, make sure you hit his head. So we went to shoot the boaters.
Yeah.
And, we're inspiring ourselves, And then I came back and then they say, Mozambique. And then the media deployed me at the border to do infiltrations of arms and personnel and material.
You speak in the book about meeting who would become President Zuma very early in that period in Mozambique. Tell us about your early memories of that relationship, which would ultimately become a very important relationship, because at one point you would be the president and the treasurer of the ANC together.
Sure, very important. We were engaging very seriously on many fronts. And I must give credit to the former Homeland Leader, Chief Minister Mabuza. We convinced him that Kangwane government must work with the ANC. There's no other future in apartheid. Let us turn this apartheid machinery into an ANC base. Mabuza was very smart. He said, yes, let's do it. How do we do it? Then that time there was this big debate about incorporation of Kangwane and Ngwavuma into Swaziland, which we resisted. And I was a briefing attorney there, and I won that case. Made many enemies on the other side.
Yes,
didn't care. So we thought, you know what? This thing has become political. Let's reach Machel, President Machel. He was going to AOU that time.
Right, sure.
We must reach him. Where the one guy from Mozambique, Maungela, Milio Maungela. We reached Frelimo through Joseph Fates, Machel, we reached him and briefed him that, please, why must the Lusaka Manifesto be violated? The Lusaka Manifesto said, amongst other things, the colonial border boundaries must be respected. Why does South Africa want to violate that? So President Machel must raise it in OU that the apartheid government wants to violate the Lusaka Manifesto by changing boundaries and therefore denying millions of people of their citizenship artificially. So this must be handled. So the ANC head were there.
Right.
And they reached out to us.
And then there was this famous meeting where...
First, Mahungala met Zuma at the border gate. And then he came back, this man, he got cut here on his cheeks and he looks very kind man.
Yeah.
Then Zuma organized that we go to Maputo to meet him, Joe Slovo, Chris Hani, all of them were there, except Oliver Tambo. Thabo was not there.
Yeah.
And there was a great meeting we took from 3 in the afternoon to almost 3 in the morning.
Wow.
And we were plotting how to turn Kangwane into a military base, how to go and reach out to people like the Holomisas and others in the Transkei and other homelands, to turn them into hotbeds against apartheid. And Kangwane was receptive first, but we had to go all out. Holomisa was very receptive later and became a serious ANC activist, So there were different reactions, but Kangwane was the base.
What an amazing meeting, by the way, of Hani, Slovo,
yes.
you, Zuma.
I was a young guy. They were all there saying, "This young lawyer, is he not afraid?" Because I didn't see danger. I just saw that we needed to struggle.
Yeah.
So I led the charge. Then we said in that meeting, we need to arrange my Buza to meet Tambo in London. Because the ANC said he mustn't come to Lusaka to be obvious. They met in London. Thabo was there in our time to plan again the bigger picture. Do you know what we had to do? We had an air ticket to London, to Switzerland, to deflect.
Right.
And then back to South Africa. So the ANC bought the link of the ticket from London to Switzerland.
Yeah.
In Geneva, we stayed there. And then we bought another leg of the ticket from Geneva to here.
Wow.
To disguise everything. But you had to do those things in those days. But Zuma was at the center of those relationships.
Right.
He built it. Give him the credit. He built it. I mean, when Mabuza went to Lusaka ultimately, when there was this visit to Lusaka, everybody wanted to visit the ANC. Zuma was there. Thabo was there. All of them were there. Tambo received them. It was great stuff. But Zuma can claim rightly to have initiated that.
And you mentioned President Mbeki. You also met him in these early days. What were your early memories of him?
Well, when I went to exile, I told I met him there. And then, of course, we met at Tambo's house with Mabuza. And of course, when we did some of the things inside the country, like the march of UDF and other organizations to the place where Mashele died, led by Masusulu and all those guys, I coordinated with Thabo. Because I was in the front. So Thabo had to say to me, is everything okay? I said, Thabo, everything is okay. So he gave signals where you want to give as ANC that, guys, let's invade Mpumalanga. Let's invade Eastern Transvaal and support Machel. So that I worked with him there. But daily, Thabo was more a foreign affairs type of guy. Sure. I worked with Chris, Joe Modise, Zuma, and Ntantla, and political and military committee in Lusaka. From when we were there in Maputo, Zuma was like a chief rep, but commander. What happened was, there was a Committee Accord, where the ANC was flushed out. But then ANC continued to survive. ANC has many layers. We could never flush it out. It knew how to survive. So the Botha government said to Marshall, Zuma must go. Sue Repkin, you know her.
I do. Yeah.
And then Keith Mokwape, may his soul rest in peace. He just died 2 weeks ago. Farouk Timol, they picked them and said they must go. They thought by removing the command structure, they're removing the ANC. They didn't realize that this next layer will surface. So the next layer was us.
Wow.
So we surfaced like cream to the top. Then CODESA became the commander. TZ was there with me. AB Kekana, they were all there. Then quick, CODESA and TZ did not click. The leadership decided, no, Mathews, you will be the commander. That's how I took charge. But I was more a border type of oriented guy. I wanted to confront the enemy at the border.
Right.
Push soldiers in, push pistols and guns in, push bombs in. That's what I did. You know, deal with them at the border there. So that they can be scared. They must not just think they can stop us.
Yeah.
We made many main holes at the border in Buzini. Wow. And interesting enough, we managed to recruit people in the villages in Buzini and Goba in Mpumalanga to work with us. And there was a Frelimo camp at the side, which disguised us. You know it's us, you know. But we did all the things that needed to be done inland from there.
Wow.
Up to Kofimvaba in the Eastern Cape. We did that. We reached that. There's no mission we could not pull. And I must say the apartheid security were not so efficient. How did we manage to pull guns up to Mthatha, Queenstown, everything, and personnel? It's not often they are arrested. One time they arrested one of our guys, I think around Hamburg, carrying a Stashkin pistol, the Russian one. It was the first time that the African security saw how a Stashkin looked like. But Stashkins had been coming in, and Makarovs. Even before I went to exile, I had my own Makarov.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
They can't charge me now.
Yeah, exactly. And you actually tell this funny story of your pistol going off one day and realizing, like, by mistake.
By the way, I was with Malema himself in my house. We didn't realize that in the chamber, one bullet they jump in. I assumed it's all in magazine.
Yeah.
So I pulled the trigger. Shoo! In the 4-room house. Oh, we're all going like this.
Yeah.
What happened? I was so scared. There was no one at home. It was just me. And they made a wall. They broke the wall.
Yeah.
That pistol. Bullet. What do we do here? I had to confess at home to my, you know what? She says, where's the pistol? I said, I won't show you. I never showed it until today. Because I didn't show them the other part of my life.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. So they mustn't know. The less you know, the better. You know. Yeah.
Of course.
So you understand the underground life?
No, I mean, it's fascinating to hear these
like I say, when I think about it now, I thought, were we mad? This was dangerous. But we're not mad. We need to do what we need to do.
I know you can't necessarily, even in this book, share everything that you know and you saw. But, you know, I must tell you, like, it's great for us to hear these stories because many of your comrades died with these stories.
Sure.
And I remember going to a funeral last year of someone who I had known for a long time. They're a family friend. And then at the funeral, they said, this person was an MK. And I was like, what? I thought he was a lawyer all this time.
I'm a lawyer too.
Yeah.
But I was MK.
All you lawyers are just MK.
Yeah.
And you just realize how many people in our country that we see every day also are part of the underground structures in MK. And for whatever reason, they haven't been able to divulge those stories.
You know, you're touching a very sensitive thing. There are many, and many have died with the stories. Unfortunately, we've allowed our stories to be written by others. We didn't tell our story. It's very sad. And the other thing which I'll raise here is that we don't understand that those who went through that period are traumatized.
Absolutely.
We lightly talk about veterans, but we don't really understand, or if we do, we pretend we don't. The needs of those people. You know, in America, they had this Vietnam syndrome. And the government had the responsibility to look after the war veterans.
Yeah.
We talk about the Veterans League, but what are we doing? I think Mandela tried, because he pushed for that Veterans League.
Yeah.
He had some few trusts. Who looks after them?
True.
I met one guy in Eastern Cape. He was a commissar in the army. He's a hobo.
Sure.
Really? That's how we look after them. I'm not saying the struggle owed to pay us anything. We're giving our lives to it. But surely we must be human. And what about the well-being of those who... I'm not even talking about MK, Apla, Azanla, all of them. They gave their lives. That's why now you only discover at the funeral. One guy, I wrote a speech about someone who was in intelligence with us inside who had recruited him. So I couldn't attend because I had a UNICEF cancer. So I wrote this speech. Rodi Mamoyapa read it. One guy says, "Come on, pause. Are we all going to be praised like this when we are dead?" You know what? The sarcasm of it, the irony of it. Is it only when you are dead that you are praised?
Yeah.
When we are alive, we're not. Not people are not seeking praises, but they seek acknowledgement.
Absolutely.
And care and love.
Yeah.
And that's all we can give them. And a government like ours should show that. It should be sensitive to those things. Yeah. Why would we give a blind eye or pay lip service to it? You got a Veterans League. What are you doing to support it? You know, you're rushing for your next rally.
Fam, before we get back to the episode, we just want to let you know we have a big goal on this channel to build this community to 1,000 members. That means we have 2 new levels of SMWX membership. The first level gives you exclusive access to content, discounts on merch, but the second level, in addition to various other perks, gives you access to me. We're going to have meetups, online sessions. You're going to get discount on our live events. So if you want to deepen your SMWX community experience, help us get to that 1,000 member level. Look forward to seeing you there. When you talk about writing the speech, I'm thinking also of your love of poetry, which I wasn't actually aware of before I read this book. And you wrote Afrikaans poetry as well. There are many allusions to it in the book. Where did that come from?
I went to secondary school in Mpumalanga called Maripi. It was an extremely well-performing school. Some of our matriculants got the highest marks in the country. You know, like the late Professor Edim Mhlanga. And humbly, yours truly, we got very high marks. And we're performing well. And that school was a state school. We did 85% of our subject in Afrikaans. We had to think and dream in Afrikaans. So it rolls on your tongue.
Yeah.
You know, so that's how the Afrikaans came from.
Wow.
And I wrote Afrikaans poetry at the age of 15. I didn't publish. Later I published in Stanpente, this Stuff Rider and all that. And then later it was put together when I came from exile. Because I wrote a lot. You know, Mandela said when he heard about the book from Tafelberg, boy, that's not your book. Deur oog van 'n Laat is like through the eye of the needle. The nation went through the eye of the needle in 94. That's not your message. That's my message. I'm going to launch the book.
Wow.
He changed the date. He invited half the parliamentarians, if not more.
Yeah.
He says, boy, that's how he referred to me.
Yeah.
You'll give a vote of thanks.
Lovely.
I said, Tata, I'm fine with vote of thanks.
Lovely.
He took it over and he proposed to me, I'm signing more of your book than you. So, Deur oog van 'n Laat, it means through the eye of a needle. If you were there in 94, you could see the difficulty which the nation was facing. And it's not a light title. It explains that, like that camel in the Bible, which was relating to this eye of the needle thing.
Yeah.
We went through the eye of the needle. And we need to appreciate that. Blood was shed for our freedom.
Yeah.
There were many sacrifices.
There are so many vignettes in this book from the negotiation period. I also didn't realize before writing the book how central you were in that period as well. And I could refer to so many things, but talk us through that period and your how you remember the negotiations. Obviously, our country has been in a long debate in the last few years about the wisdom of those negotiations.
Sure, debate, healthy debate.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I heard you saying in another interview, you know, the Constitution is not a holy document. It needs to be evolved, but it's also not the worst document in the world. It's a great document, which I thought was a nuanced perspective. But you were there. You were in many of the rooms in the ANC, but also at the negotiating table and key to the CODESA process. Are there any of the moments in the book that you reference that stand out to you? What are your thoughts about that period in our history?
It didn't just happen. Like I said, I was a commander in Mozambique. And I would now and then be called for many different missions. Like when Dirk Coutier from Vlakplaas defected, I was asked to join the team to interrogate him.
Wow.
And get the truth out of him, which we did. And then later I was called to go and clean the prisons in Uganda. It's not in the book, but to be somewhere in the next book. So that, because Amnesty International was looking at us. So we need to say, are we handling human rights correctly or not? So the NEC says I must go and look at the prisons and say whether things were all right. It's a story for another day. Fast forward, I'm sitting there busy with my border work. I'm called, you have to go home. And then there was this, the NEC was unbanned, blah, blah, blah. Go home to do what? You traitors, what do you want me to go home for to do? I'm going to fight. Because I had asked Chris at that time when the NEC was unbanned, what do we do? Chris said to me, Comrade Freddy, which was my MK name, you fight until the last order. You got orders to fight. You fight. Unbanning or unbanning, you fight. And I salute Comrade Chris until today. They called me, they said, no, Mandela is coming to Lusaka. You must come and see him with Maduna, Penuel Maduna, my colleague. Give him credit. He did his best, Penuel. So I was alone sitting there. Mandela just had a rally in Mpumalanga, in Kanyamazala Stadium. He met my former partner, Phineas Mujapelo, JP.
Yes, of course, yeah.
I met him, he was very happy. Matthew, yes, we read your story when you were in prison. We were very angry that we had to skip the country. It was this big story in the city press, top lawyer skips the country.
I see.
He said, we had wanted you to continue fighting inside the country, but well, we accepted. I'm happy to meet you, my boy.
Wow.
You're coming home to work with me.
Wow.
And then, so it happened. Zuma and Maduna left first, and Gibson and Jenja, give him credit, good brother. And then I left after, because I come from Maputo. I must tell about that journey.
Yeah.
I'm flying to Lusaka, Thabo briefed me. I said, Thabo, don't you think these guys are going to kill us? He said, no. So we've been talking, and then they won't do anything. Who's going to fetch me at the airport? Some guys will go, you don't know them. I must tell the story.
Yeah.
And then I fly from there to Botswana. I said to my former partner, Phineas, well, there were no cellular phones then.
Yeah, yeah.
Even the bleepers came immediately after that.
Right.
So I phoned him on the landline. Hey, I'm coming. Meet me at the airport.
Yeah.
In my naivety. Phineas comes to the airport. I arrive at the airport. I'm looking at the country from the air.
Yeah.
You know what I said to myself? This country is beautiful.
Wow.
It's worth fighting and dying for. I'm telling myself as a soldier. It was right to fight for it. The plane lands. I'm sitting there, I'm very nervous. See a guy walking. No one was allowed to leave the plane. A guy walked like that, comes to me. He says, are you Mathews Phosa? I didn't react. It didn't trigger me to react. He says, are you Freddy? I said, yeah, I'm Freddy. Oh, he says, Freddy, we'll come to fetch you. We're sent by the National Intelligence with the permission of the ANC. Okay, I take my little bag, sling bag. I come out. He says, they open the bonnet of the plane. He says, which one is your suitcase? I said, I have none. He said, is that your luggage? I said, yes. Wow. He said, you really don't trust us? I said, I don't trust you. Why should I trust you? Then they take me in the car around the airport.
Yeah.
And Jesus, they've stamped the passport after that. I don't know where they stamped it.
Yeah,
we go.
yeah.
Along the way, we're driving, like going to Lanseria. They say to me, we're going to Vlakplaas. They knew I'd been interrogating the Coutier. So the way to frighten me is to mention Vlakplaas.
Yeah.
It was a sick joke. And all I said to them was, guys, you win. They laughed.
Wow.
I didn't respond. They were taking me to where Zuma was. Then we started preparing for the first talks.
Yeah.
We never stopped being involved in every step of the talks until the interim constitution was produced. For 4 years, we were negotiating. Day and night. We would go into nights. We'd be so tired. You know this tablet called Rechmaker?
Yeah.
We would drink the Rechmaker to stay sober.
Wow.
First, it was talks about talks. Then grote minute with the first one. We had to write the agenda, agree on who must be around the table. They didn't want Slow to come back from exile and Chris to be around the table. We said, you're crazy. You want to determine our delegation. If you want to determine our delegation, let's call it off. We'll fly back. You know, I'll tell you about another incident. Then they shot people at the Sebokeng before Goldstone Commission was appointed. Me and Maduna flew back and in anger. So these guys are not serious. It was before the skill.
Wow.
But Lusaka said, go back. So we came back. Prepare. So we have the skill. Then there was DF Malan talks, all interim talks, Pretoria Minute where we suspended armed struggle.
What do you remember about those rooms and the atmosphere when the apartheid government came face to face?
The first one is interesting because these guys had been looking at each other through the sights of guns. Here's Magnus Malan, here's Joe Modise, here's Flock, here's Chris. I mean, the real enemies. We said, guys, if you put these guys at the table, it's not going to work. It's better to give them wine. Let them eat cookies and cook sisters, biscuits. So we're watching them. We're busy managing the table. Who sits where, what, everything. So they're busy talking. It was amazing human interactions. They were laughing and joking and happy with one another.
Wow.
They were not separate. They were together.
Yeah.
Imagine Chris talking to Magnus Malan. They're talking. So psychologically, we prepare them to sit around the table. So Mandela sit here, Titlek sit here, Fanny van der Merwe, may his soul rest in peace. Very good lawyer too. He said that he had a shining head, like Zuma. So these two guys with shiny heads must sit at the edge of the table. They'll shine next to you on the table. so those then it was tough. Well, they wanted to change the agenda quickly by saying, let's talk about MK. And ANC didn't want that on the agenda. They said, let's talk about removing the troops from the township, releasing prisoners, allowing exiles to come back, all the obstacles. Let's deal with that before we disarm ourselves, or the succumbed. But at one of the CODESA meeting, they raised it, contrary to the agenda of CODESA, which were drawn. Titlek raised it in his speech. The guys at the party at CODESA were speaking in alphabetical order. ANC comes first, so Mandela will speak first. Titlek took advantage of that and national parties later. He raises this issue. Then Mandela stood up and went straight to Judge Mohammed. And he said, I've got a matter of national importance to raise. That's when Mandela spoke in anger to the nation, and the whole nation was scared. They thought things were falling apart. He says, Mr. de Klerk, we agreed you're not going to raise the MK case here. And now you did it. It's wrong. I want to tell everyone here. It was shifting paper. What's going on? Because he didn't even tell us what he's going to raise there. Everybody was frightened. What's going on? How can he do that? But he was justified ethically. But the agenda was set. Why do you raise a thing like that one?
It's such an interesting point because I remember staying over at his house for a while because I was good friends with his grandchildren.
Yes.
And what a lot of people don't understand is that President Mandela could be very firm and very strict.
Too firm.
The grandchildren, we were all so scared of him. We were like, Granddad's going to come home. Like,
be careful.
Keep quiet. Everyone must keep quiet when he's home.
You can't do the bone.
Yeah.
But he got angry, and it was the first anger we showed in public. But we, as negotiators, we've seen it many times behind the closed doors. Many times. But Chris and Palo would flash in working groups with Flock and that one. Paulo will call Flock in his face, you're a racist.
Wow.
Yeah, you're a racist. We're doing you a favor by talking to you. That type of
That's so interesting because we don't know those stories of like...
No, but Paulo... So the cooking was hot. The kitchen was hot. Yeah, but that was us, the youngsters, boxing with our leaders and these guys. But Maduna, myself, then later joined by Vali Musa and Mekma Raj in the center. Zola Square. May soul rest in peace. We'll all be together planning the agendas.
Interesting.
But then it could be hot. And then the talks failed. It's another story for another day on CODESA. Then there was a long break. There was this thing of Inkatha killings at the hostels and all those things. Who writes the constitution? The National Party wanted to show second process and say CODESA must write the constitution. We said no, we're not elected. The Constituent Assembly, which will have been elected, must write the constitution. And we don't want a federal state. We're a unitary state. The Bantustan must dissolve. Must be one army, one police force, one country. We insisted, we dug in on those things until they gave in. But in these talks, where it was a few of us, Maduna, myself, Fanny van der Merwe, Neil Barnett, Roof Mayer, and Cyril. We would talk into the night. I remember one morning, I'm sure you love this story. It was so tense. Roof Mayer got angry at 12 midnight with Cyril. And Cyril said to Roof, tell me, how can you afford to be so angry so early in the morning? I mean, all those moments of breaking the tension.
Yeah.
And we're all laughing out.
Wow.
It's very funny. He said to this guy, why are you angry in the morning? We've not even slept.
Wow.
But the tension, I mean, it was not easy.
Because we get these pictures, we see people smiling and
no,
think it was just a cordial
it wasn't easy. If you take, for example, the police chapter, our constitution, I engineered that with Krill.
Right.
They locked us in his house.
Right.
You haven't read that anywhere. They locked us in his house to agree what is the structure of the police force of the new South Africa. Krill was arguing for a federal structure with commissioners in the provinces with the same powers as national commissioner. We said, no ways. There will be one powerful commissioner. A compromise is we delegate power. But the norms and standards of police will be written at the top. And I had been very thrilled in that because I was on the police board. And where we started debating this with Fink Haysem and others,
right.
And so I insisted on that. The media was sitting outside the house, a small little old Buddha house. We're debating with the grill, and until we agreed, it's not a federal police force.
Sure.
This is as it is now. Who knows how many times me and Harnas Grill were swearing at each other in that house? They don't know, but we didn't nest each other until we agreed, Then we took the agreement to the CODESA to be refined by lawyers like Musineke, Arthur Chaskelson, may so rest in peace. He played a very big role in the final drafting of Constitution.
Absolutely.
His son Matthew, he was young those days, like you. But those are lawyers with Bezos, George Bezos, that did the drafting, all those guys. But we did the donkey work, like the police chapter. Then one morning, we're sitting at CODESA. Cyril comes and says, hey, we don't know what to do here. These guys, they're busy with nonsense. Matthew, go join the military working group. So I go there. Because my working group, TBV state, was done. So Homeland agreed to go. And then join that. I said, I'll go join. The guy called General Krapis, Engelbrecht, saying in that meeting, guys, if you don't protect my men, the Flag Plus guy were killing people. I'll let them go wild. Seriously? Sure. You let them go wild? I said, Krapis, are you threatening us? This is the end of the talk. In negotiations, if we make a threat, we stop. Otherwise, it's not negotiation. Putting a gun at my head, I said, I'm stopping the working group. I went to Cyril. I said, Cyril, listen, this guy is threatening us. Cyril phoned the clerk. Mandela phoned Mandela. Mandela phoned the clerk. What was the issue? The issue was the fear of those who committed crimes to be hit by us. That's where the TRC was born.
Wow.
That's exactly what happened there. That's where it was agreed, no, guys, don't fight about that. There will be a Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and then it will deal with those things. This guy must not worry. These fears will be dealt with there, and then let's go on and finalize the interim constitution.
Wow.
Now you know the truth.
Wow.
That's what happened there. It was a flash. It was not born out of kissing and hugging. It was born out of someone making a threat. We said, no, we're walking out. We're not going to threaten us. We're not babies. So we're going to see the boxing.
Absolutely. And again, I encourage people to read the book because you'll get more detail on many of these stories. There's so much we could discuss, but I want to come to some of the moments that many people know about, but that you give your perspective on.
Sure.
You talk about, obviously, there's the new constitution. You become Premier of Mpumalanga for a while, and then the Mbeki era begins.
Yes.
And you have a chapter called Out in the Cold, I believe, or Out of the Fold, rather. And this starts an interesting moment in the build-up to Polokwane, in the history of our country and in the ANC, because the Mbeki presidency starts off really, really strongly, economic growth, but there are these nagging concerns that President Mbeki is dealing with his opponents internally in a very vicious way. And then we get this bombshell press conference where Steve Tshwete, may his soul rest in peace, comes out and says 3 people are plotting to kill the president. And it's Cyril Ramaphosa, it's Tokyo Sekgwale, and it's you. I mean, you talk about this moment in the book so much, but wow. I mean...
Yeah, I enjoyed my period as Premier from Mpumalanga.
Yeah, yeah.
The N4 was 2 lanes, I made it 4. Right? I built a new airport from a mighty tobacco farm. Right? I built the biggest provincial office, no province that has it even today, which is one stop for government.
Yeah.
Cutting the cost of China and nonsense. I can go on and on.
And it's still a stronghold for the ANC to today.
Yeah. To link to promote regional economic cooperation.
Yeah.
To talk about coast-to-coast corridors, working with Nojoma, Masire, and those road network. I'm proud of that legacy. But there were innuendos that why does this premier promote an international project? Who does he think he is? It's a foreign affairs thing. I did not listen, but Mandela supported me. He actually came to launch Maputo Corridor. $7.6 billion, and we won the NEPAT award. Jealousies develop like that in those environments. Some applaud, others feel threatened. And I'm putting straight. Now, from nowhere, Thabo Mbeki decided that I served the full term as premier, by the way.
Yeah.
I was never. Mandela said to me, "You're going nowhere. You got my protection." So I served. Then here, the government had the right to choose the next premier. They chose Matlang. I didn't mind. I congratulated him.
Sure, but it did seem as if he came from
from nowhere. Yeah. He didn't even know the ANC. I'm sorry. Then, from nowhere, like we said, here's this bomb. Steve Tshwete is on TV. I'm sitting in my White River home. There's a plot to kill Mbeki, to overthrow him. What do you mean? Then he lists Tokyo Sekgwale, Mathews Phosa, Cyril Ramaphosa.
Yeah.
I could not pinch myself. Matata Tsedu was then the editor of Sowetan, calls me, says, "Matthew, what do you make out of this?"
Yeah.
I said, Matat, I don't want to dignify rubbish. This is the worst rubbish. I had not seen Tokyo for 2 years. I had not seen Cyril for 2 years. How do we plot? You need to talk and plot. Well, it's just nonsense.
Yeah.
They investigated us for 12 months. They found nothing. Wasted state resources in that process.
I mean,
and Malema was magnanimous. He cooled down the tempers, thanks to him. He called each one of us, says, "Guys, keep cool. Let it flow." We did that.
Yeah.
And we'd learn from the best. Don't overreact.
Yeah.
And when the findings said we're not guilty, Steve Tshwete called me. He said, "Come on, Matthew. I want to have a press conference with you when we clear all of you."
Yeah.
I said, "Come on, Steve. I knew him for a long time. We stayed in the same house in Lusaka. Come on, Steve. Brother Steve. When you announced that we're plotting, you are alone. Go and announce alone that we're not plotting." So he went for us.
Yeah.
It's not true. But imagine if we were charged with treason and there was a death sentence, we would have been hanged.
Wow.
And Frank Kekana alluded to that. So Frank, it shows the stupidity of death sentence. You would have hanged us for nothing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So be careful what you're doing to your own comrades. I'm not convinced we have learned good lessons from that. But the settling of scores in my political party worries me.
You do say in the book as well that Steve Tshwete did effectively apologize to you.
Yes, he did.
But you haven't ever heard from President Mbeki on that. You've never...
No, I've not heard from him. On the contrary, when I was chairman of UNISA, I inspired the establishment of the Thabo Mbeki Institute.
Wow.
Right.
I didn't think of that.
Yes, I inspired that. We funded it. I inspired the first presidential library for Mbeki.
Yeah.
Until today, there's no other presidential library for any other president.
Wow. Yeah. In
a way, I'll show him my good faith to him, even if he did all that he did to me. I'm not the one petty, settle scores. I thought, let me rise above the pettiness and honor my president, Thabo Mbeki.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
Wow.
He knows it.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, but, sometimes people are not able to say, "I am sorry." And it's a weakness.
I hope you do get the chance one day to...
I don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
Time has gone too far. Let's move on with our lives.
Polokwane, of course.
Polokwane, well, Polokwane, you know what Polokwane means? The place where you bury. Poloko is bury area.
Oh, wow, there we go.
So, I don't think we realized the meaning of it at the time. The build-up to Polokwane was in the NC.
Yeah.
The email stories, the case of Zuma being charged, being dismissed as president by Mbeki, the fight, and guys insisting he must go back as president. He must stay as president of the NC at least, which he did.
Yeah.
The tension built in the NEC, it was terrible tension. It divided us. We want Polokwane knowing that we are divided. We went in there, campaigned differently, and the lobbies are almost balanced.
Yeah.
You wouldn't tell who was going to win or lose. You wouldn't. And I stood for treasurer. And I tell you, the music was Tetelo Zuma, Tetelo Msholos. The other side was also singing, praising Thabo. So there was too much noise. And people campaigning.
Yeah.
That noise is like, when I think back, a dirge, a song you sing at the funeral. We killed the NC there, we buried there, and we sang the dirges.
Sure.
The ANC, I challenge anyone about ANC to say I'm lying. It never recovered from that. The rest are manifestations of Polokwane.
Yeah.
It never recovered until today. Even if you look at what later happened to the ANC, some of the elements of Polokwane were there, you know, and sad moments which were, in my view, unnecessary. I'll give an example about Malema.
Yeah, sure.
I said, Mbalula asked me to defend Malema. He was secretary of the Youth League.
Interesting.
Yeah, Zuma was sitting in Tanzania. I said, I've been asked to defend him. I love cases. I'm a lawyer. It's in my blood.
Yeah.
So I defended him very successfully. But there was a small little thing where we thought Malema must go for political education, which we discussed and agreed. Got him out. But I argued that there's no dustbin for comrades. I'm the first one to use that expression. There's no dustbin for comrades. In a political organization, we must find corrective political solutions.
Sure.
We should not crush people, especially the young ones. The ANC did not listen. We lost 1 million of the youth when Malema left.
True.
Gone. And the ANC Youth League has never recovered. I don't care who says what.
Yeah.
It's never been what it is. And me at that time as a treasurer funded the most expensive youth conference with the biggest amount of delegates, 7,000 since exile. I paid 40 million rand cash for that conference. And 2 weeks later, you've expelled the president. What did you expect? Those guys will follow him. And they did. So it shows you in a political movement, you need to use politics to resolve political problems.
Sure.
Don't settle scores.
So you think that was a mistake that the leadership made at that
The
time?
biggest mistake. They made a mistake. And then, of course, I can't talk about what happened in EFF because you can see now they're hemorrhaging. There are subjective dynamics there which make them the hemorrhage. I don't have them on my fingertips. But I don't think they've learned the lessons which came from the ANC with them. That's why they're losing members.
Yeah.
They will lose more. It's logical politics. But if you would move more towards corrective political solutions, you keep the party together. It doesn't matter what you feel about me. If I'm wrong, correct me. If you're wrong, I must correct me. Don't cut my neck.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, what was it like in the room when it was announced that Zuma became ANC president? Because, like you say, I think that moment, for so many reasons, was such a turning point in our country.
At Polokwane.
At Polokwane. That moment
we agreed.
You suddenly realized we'd won.
No, we agreed before the announcement that there must be a certain way of behavior.
Okay, interesting.
Because the lobbyists knew who was winning. Because we, the conference radio potato gossip.
Yeah.
We call it, at least I call it radio potato.
You used your intelligence
Yes, we knew.
training. Yeah.
So we said, guys, when they announce your name as the winner, you as the loser must go upstage and congratulate that person. And no one has written about that.
Yeah.
Let's show acceptance.
Yeah.
So when Zuma was announced as president, you saw that picture of he's hugging with Thabo.
Yeah.
Thabo had to go on stage, it was agreed, to hug him, even if he didn't agree.
Yeah.
Then the others went. Then I went, Pumzila hugged me. We made like peace.
Yeah.
There was never peace.
Yeah. From that moment, it was just divided.
Divided
before.
The cracks were deeper cut. So we try to control by saying, accept the winner. And that's what's happened there.
Of course, well, in the year after that, there were different centers emerging. President Mbeki was still president of the country. President Zuma is president of the ANC. And eventually, it's decided in 2008 that President Mbeki must be recalled.
Yeah, but let me explain to you.
Sure.
When you came from Polokwane, President Mbeki decided to rule the country alone, away from the party. Literally. As a former president, he knows he must attend the officials meeting every Monday.
Sure.
He must attend NWC every Monday.
Yeah.
He must attend all NEC meetings. Because that's where he gets his mandate. You can't rule on an Mbeki mandate.
And you say you literally just stopped coming.
No, they just ignored us. I'll give an example. The day we had the January 8th in Atteridgeville, you know what he did? He prayed all
Tell us, yeah.
They called a press conference to fire check. Where will the media go? Drama said the commissioner of police being fired, not at our conference. Who does he think he is? Went into the NEC, you said, guys, let's deal with this problem. It's elephant in the room. It's an elephant in the NEC room. They debated that thing for almost 6 hours.
Yeah.
I sat there and just listened. But I summarized the debate lawyer style. And I said, we're talking about a constitutional matter here, about a president of a country. There must be a responsible way of handling it. It's not just the president of the NEC, it's no longer.
Yeah.
It's that of the country. So I drafted where I think there's consensus and the constitutional responsibility we had, and he would have if he steps down.
Yeah.
You must tell the cabinet, members of parliament, diplomatic missions, so carry the world with us, all that. I wrote it there in my resolution.
Yeah.
And I therefore request that we accept this debate, if we summarize it, that Mbeki must go.
Sure.
And then there was this interesting silence. I remember I said to myself, I'm going to win this one. I could see.
Wow.
They were relieved. They were scared to say it. I said it.
Yeah.
Right? And then the first hand came with support, a layer two. Then there was this other 6 comrades, including journalists, who said, some said, guys, it's left for 6 months. Do you really want to do this? Others said, he must go.
Yeah.
The majority said he must go. But my last recommendation was Zuma must go and tell him. They said, no, it's about Zuma coming in. Zuma can't tell him. The 5 of you, Malema, Gwede, you go and tell him in the morning. Now, it didn't stick well in my stomach because I'm the one who cracked the whip. But there was a decision. So the following day, around 4 or 5, we slept late. Gwede calls me, says, hey, come on, Matthew. We've discussed this matter. You and the others should not come. Me and Malema should go. Which was quite wise, I think, of him and Malema to say so. And they went. I was going to go, but when I was told I must not go, I said, I don't want to go there.
Yeah.
Didn't want to go there. It's like cutting someone's throat and going to see whether he's died. That type of thing. I didn't like that. I wanted to stay away. So I stayed away. And then during the day, Zuma says, you move the motion. Go face the nation. You the president. He said, go face the nation. And I went with SABC.
This was that interview. That interview
with Stephen
Friedman.
Yeah, they wanted to sort tell me those guys.
Yeah.
But I stood my ground. But I gave the reasons. I'm giving it to you now. Why we had to say he must go. And let's give him bigger credit. And I want to give him credit. He didn't fight this.
Yeah, true.
Mbeki stood up and said, you don't want me anymore as president? I'm going.
Yeah.
And made a very responsible statement.
True, that was a very important.
Yeah, Mbeki became even more of a statesman even in this last hour. I'm giving him credit for that. Yeah.
So you were the voice that summarized the debate and said, this is the way
I wrote it down and I read it and it was accepted. I have no apologies.
Yeah.
Mbeki was out of order.
Like I said, it's amazing how many of these rooms you were there in and influential in.
There were many rooms.
Yeah. You served as Treasurer General of the ANC, and this was an interesting moment because there's been a lot of criticism of the Zuma presidency in the ANC and the country, but some say the first 5 years were better than the second 5 years. You were around for the first 5 years. What was it like being a key leader at that moment in the first Zuma tenure in the ANC, and you later became more critical of President Zuma. How did that come about, and how did your evolution on President Zuma take place?
You know, we're very excited about Zuma being president. With all weaknesses. We said, this is what we have. It's the voice of the people.
Yeah.
We have to deal with this. We had to go overseas to promote Zuma. In France, in London, and everywhere. But we have to promote your candidate. You can't say, yes, the president, kill him. So yes, president, support him.
Sure.
We did that, which is our responsibility. We flew to African states, Tanzania, everywhere. I mean, as a treasurer, I was very lucky. I had powerful friends in the world. I still have them.
Yeah.
I raised a lot of money. 3 billion close.
Wow.
Cash.
The ANC would love that.
The ANC was in trouble financially.
Yeah.
I had to freeze certain debts. APSA, Netbank, they agreed. I paid them later. I had no problem. No criticism to my predecessor. I had to do it.
Yeah.
And then we found that the salaries were very low. We benchmarked them in the market, increased them. And then we decided everyone must get a bonus every year.
Wow.
And then it was not there, it was unheard of. Then SSCP came and said, please fund us. National to provincial, I did that. COSATU will come for, give me this 10 million, I'll give them.
Wow.
You know, the SICC said, what kind of changes? They have no money, I'll do that. I didn't have money. You know, when there's election, I'll do back million allocation to each province.
Wow.
They didn't have to raise money for elections.
When you think of where the finances are now.
I don't know. They didn't say, but I'm telling you what I did.
Yeah.
And it cannot be contradicted.
Yeah.
So we did very well. And Zuma found it easy to operate. For them, when COPE broke away,
Yeah.
I would like to bring it in. But it was during his time.
Of course, yeah.
We're sitting there meeting with, with Zuma. And we get a notice from media that they're coming to the office. Terra has announced he's going.
Yeah.
Well, the first question from media was, Mr. Lakota says, he has served divorce papers to you. It was put that way in legal phraseology. So I said to Zuma, please don't respond. I would like to do this press conference. But I could see he's angry.
Yeah.
I was avoiding the anger in the press conference. He said, no, I won't talk. I said to the journalists, but we haven't received summons. They have not been served on us in a legalistic. Which means I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm dodging the question.
Yeah.
So when we receive summons, we respond. But I thought I'd succeeded.
Yeah.
They raised a question which provoked Zuma. And he says, let him go, which is what they wanted, the media wanted.
Yeah.
Zuma says, let him go. I still did not give up. I still went to talk to Comrade JC Duarte, may so rest in peace, to say, let's talk to sense and to terror. We didn't succeed.
Yeah.
He complained about Malema, about this. This guy, he wants to do it, let him do what he wants to do. Good luck to them.
Yeah.
And you know what happened. The rest is history. But Zuma operated. The things that came up very difficult for me wasn't Nkandla.
Yeah, sure.
That for me broke the camera's back. I lost confidence. When the Constitutional Court pronounced on that matter, I'm a lawyer. I felt offended. And I felt, this should not happen. The president should not do this. Because he didn't tell us. I did get a sense of betrayal about the Constitutional Court. And if you look at your dates, that same afternoon, I made the first call for Zuma to step down. I was giving a speech to the Chamber of Commerce in Palaboro. I made that speech. I made one mistake. I released it at 4. The media could not resist. They violated the embargo. Because when I spoke at the dinner at 7, it was front page, headline.
Wow.
Well, can you trust the media on embargoes? I don't know. I don't know, but that's what happened. But I was not happy.
Yeah.
And he was very upset with me. We didn't talk for a very long time.
Really?
Yeah, and then of course, life as it will have it. The weekend before the Monday when he resigned, or Tuesday, he called me. It was after many years. He calls me.
Wow.
He talks to me like, hey, Baba, you know, Zuma is very charming. He's a charming uncle.
Yeah.
You know, you don't get malice and rancor from him.
Sure.
He's very charming, very kind, very friendly. There's this issue. What is the issue, Baba? Cyril wants coming to see me in 5 or 10 minutes. What is it? Now he's saying that we should discuss when I must step down and you must move in. I then said, but Baba, the two of you are conflicted. You want to stay, he wants to come in. We're conflicted. The NEC must discuss that matter, like we did with Thabo Mbeki. Why you want to discuss a matter in which you have an interest? He said, yeah, no, I knew you would say that. When Cyril came, he said that. Then the meeting was cut off.
Wow.
So the following day, the NEC meets.
Yeah.
And the NEC goes and goes and goes and goes. They decide.
Famous NEC meeting.
Yeah, they decide to throw him out.
Yeah.
That Monday,
yeah,
at 8, I get a call from one of the security. Hey, Ubaba wants you to talk to you. Oh, it's okay. The call was not coming. It's 9 o'clock. I wear my pajamas.
Yeah.
The call comes. He says, must come to his house. So I must remove my pajamas and travel at night to go there. I had not been there for a long time.
Wow.
I pick up one young man, I say, hey, let's go there. I don't know what I'm going to face here. Cut my neck or what. So I go there into the house. There was no one. There's bottles of water on the table. I said, Matuba, you get out. President will talk to me.
Wow. Was this at
Maklamadlov?
Right.
Yeah, I went at night.
Wow.
And then Zuma walks in. I'm drinking water because that's all I drink, no alcohol. He says,
nice.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
He says,
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. He says, here are court papers by some of your lawyers. I won't mention their name.
Yeah.
Their names, let's leave them safe.
Yeah.
They were drafting an application in terms of Section 98. All right? Section 98 is the impeachment process. They were wrong. The following day was Section 200, which is 50 plus 1.
Sure. Motion of no confidence.
Yeah, so these lawyers are misleading Zuma. I said, come Zuma, no. These guys are misleading you. You can call them now, I'll tell them. They don't know the Constitution. We wrote it. We know exactly what it is. Tomorrow is 50 plus 1. The ANC alone will throw you out. So let's deal with this. The guys are sitting in Cape Town in the caucus planning how to throw you out. That's what we must discuss politically. So I said, no, let's postpone the press conference the following day at 10. You remember?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, he said, no, let's wait. I said, but I thought maybe tomorrow morning they would phone me, still test my legal argument on it. And then we talked politics.
Wow.
I had talked to a few presidents in Africa to come and see him before and ask him to go. I told him.
Wow.
I spoke to President Sosongeso, Alpha Conde, blah, blah, blah. Just come and ask you to leave. Because you are under siege.
Yeah.
He says, you did that? I said, yeah. But, I just feel that you're just boxing a siege. Yeah, I think you should go. I told him,
yeah,
your children, they're going to suffer. You lose your pension. I went on and on and on. Reasoning with him, Because I could. Mandela taught me one thing. When you talk to a president, don't tell them what they want to hear. Tell them the truth. And I stick by that. Don't tell a leader what they want to hear. Tell them the truth. Then they can lead properly.
Yeah.
I said, the facts are on the table. These guys are going to outvote you tomorrow and humiliate you. Do you want that? You don't need that. Yeah. Live with integrity on your own terms. Resign and go. And then, of course, the talks went on. We come a long way, like we said.
Yeah.
And it was at after midnight. And that time was Valentine's Day. I said, Baba, we're sitting here, it's Valentine's Day. People are busy loving one another. We laughed about it.
Yeah.
He said, we laughed. I said, Baba, I said something which I never say to a man easily. I said, Baba, I think you need to consider resigning. And I want to tell you, I love you. And I hugged him.
Wow.
I said, I love you. I don't want to be hurt. I hugged him. He said, Baba Kulumi. The following day, fast forward, no press conference as we agreed. I phoned these people, they said, no, there'll be no press conference. Then I knew the message had sunk. 2 o'clock, remember, there was that famous press conference where people thought he resigned, he didn't resign. Exactly. But I said to him, ventilate your issues. Because he said that I agreed with Cyril on a program of 6 months or so, where he'll introduce Cyril to the BRICS leaders, to this, to that, in a smooth way, go through that.
Yeah.
So he felt Cyril is walking away from those undertakings. I don't know what the truth is, but that's what he said. He thought he'll stick by that. Someone convinced him otherwise, and that made Comrade Zuma uncomfortable and uneasy. I said, irrespective of that, let's move on. For the following day, at that press conference, he didn't resign. But I was tired because I slept around 3 or 4. So around 11, I confided in one of my comrades that we had this discussion. I opened my phone and he says, no, at least he listened to you. What did happen? So I opened TV. Zuma is resigning.
Sure.
I said, It's good he resigned. It's good for him. It's good for the country. So 3 weeks later, he calls me. I must come and visit him in Mklanga Rocks, at my teacher's house. And we meet there, of course. We're happy. He said, no, thank you for the advice you gave me. Yeah. Wow. He was honorable again.
Wow.
Yeah. That's what happened. I mean, we came a long way. He had no reason not to take my advice. And he knew I meant well.
Yeah. That moment must have been, I think of your time in Maputo and all of that.
Yes.
Came in that moment.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, this to Tuzan and to Tuzil. Like you. We're babies when I was with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now they're big cities and they're proud of all of you. Yeah, and I wish you well.
Thanks.
In your work.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I wish you well. The legal profession is an honorable profession. Yeah. It remains as such. And I will support you.
Oh, we stand on the shoulders of giants.
And now we need some people of integrity to take forward our future.
Absolutely.
And thank you very much.
And bravery. Don't worry.
Thank you.
We'll bring both.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And regards to your parents. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Sure. God bless you.
We really appreciate your time.
Sure.
Yeah. Thanks. Thank you for joining SMWX. Like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this episode and help us get to 200,000 subscribers. Aye.